It's loading up now. All righty, and we are live. All right, check it out. It is Craig Harris back with the quick podcast here. Got my main man Widowmaker here. We've been missing each other. He's been busy with family, and this is time of year. Family's the most important. But what's going on, Mr. Widowmaker?
Nothing much, man. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you having me, man. Thanks for reaching out and thanks for reaching out and trying to get back with me and everything.
Yeah, well, no problem. Like I said, everybody's got to kind of stick together. But I'll get into it. I got 4 or 5 quick topics here, and I know you're going to have to run. But what do you think about the Microsoft having to pull the Xbox Slim ad about them having the only 4K streaming console because of misleading ads? Do you think that Major Nelson came out and said something like, well, they have to do stuff like this because they don't know how to market HDR and 4K because they can't show it on a commercial. So they pretty much had to pull the ad of them saying, well, they're the only console that plays HDR and things like that because the Pro does it too.
Yeah.
Pro does it too.
Yeah, I think when honestly, man, some of that stuff actually kind of stems before. Because Microsoft knew what they were going to do with their stuff and everything else like that. And I don't think they had, and then, Sony came out the woodworks with HDR as well and stuff like that. And, then they had HDR, a little update, even going back to the regular PS4 and stuff like that. So, Microsoft kind of still stuck with what their original advertisement was for a while, but it's rightfully they pulled it down. Because if it ain't true, it ain't true, man. If Sony's doing HDR and Sony's doing 4K as well and stuff like that, then you rightfully can't say, hey, we're the only 4K blah blah this and stuff like that. And everything, everything that's in the ad. So I think it was pulled rightfully.
Yeah, and let me turn off my mute button there. Yeah, and look, just to make it clear, Sony's console does not do ultra settings in UHD. It doesn't. But the difference in these consoles, and it's good. Let me say one thing: the Xbox One S, the 500 gig model right now is $250. It is $250. If you can go find it, it is $250 at Walmart. And of course, I don't care if you go to H.H. Gregg, Walmart, Costco, they will match that price, wherever you got to go. It is $250 for the 500 gig model. So now understand at 500 gigs, a lot of games like Gears of War, I think if you download that, that's already 80 to 100 gigs, I think.
Yeah.
I think. So you're going to run out of space pretty quick. But if you want to play games, just put the disc in there and play them. There you go. I think one thing people got caught up in and some of the fanboy stuff that they didn't talk about was both Microsoft and Sony are giving everybody the ability to use a UHD TV if they bought it. Microsoft, however, they went with more movies. So my advice to people is if you're going to watch UHD movies, you want to come home and watch your Batman versus Superman, Suicide Squad. If you're a Trekkie, Paramount has put all of its movies onto UHD. So you can go and convert all your Star Trek movies to UHD. And I'm talking about the ones that just came out with Chris Pine, not the ones with Shatner.
Right.
And they may do the ones with Shatner. I want to make clear that way nobody comes running after me, But that is a good thing as a consumer if you want a UHD player and you play games casually. Literally, you're going to only go out and play like what Microsoft is doing. They've got Forza, you want to play Halo, Call of Duty, stuff like that. Nothing big. Shout out to the one viewer that I always have one viewer dip in no matter what. But shout out to the one viewer that I don't know if that's Google is watching me or whatever, but shout out to the one viewer. Thanks for tuning in. What Sony did was Sony said, okay, if you have a UHD TV, we're going to just let you do it on a gaming tip, not movies, because they're doing all the conversions on movies anyway. They already had analytics that showed that they weren't But a lot of people, and then what MPD did show, and forget about all the console stuff, the UHD players did not move like they thought they were going to move. So Sony's analytics were correct about that. So, am I clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you good, man.
Usually my bubble will always pick up on everything. It's like freezing. I don't know. I got some computer issues, but so Sony and Microsoft gave us the consumer the ability to consume 4K or UHD differently, and instead of the consumers that being happy like me, I'm happy about that. The fanboys got caught up in all the BS of what it can and cannot do. So what I'm going to ask the PlayStation community here to do, because they are the console of choice, obviously, this generation, is just to not worry about what the Microsoft fanboys are saying. Just don't take the bait anymore. I think part of the console war is that they are so easily taking the bait. The Xbox fanboys, the fanboys, not the Xbox regular good old-fashioned gamers like me, because I have an Xbox One S. They are talking about the Scorpion. They are literally having to watch AMD, what AMD is coming out with, so that they can brag about a console that's not on shelf yet. Again, I was at Walmart, and they had the PlayStation Pro, if you want one. They don't got no Scorpion yet. So, but what do you think about let me talk about this Pro patch really quick for the Rise of the Tomb Raider. They were able to fix a lot of the games that were if you choose 4K on your TV. This is just about the patch. They fixed a lot of the FPS issues because the 4K people, when you put these games in 4K, you have frame rate dips down to sometimes to 18 to 22 versus it staying in 30.
Yeah.
But again, it's a console. Yeah, I would be mad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, man, my son showed up. And everything, so I was waiting on. So yeah, yeah, I knew he was. Yeah, he's supposed to be coming sometime around 11ish, man. So,
okay,
but
that's cool.
Yeah, shoot.
Hey man, you're good. I'll heck fire. I may try to do another one later tonight.
Okay, that'll work. Yeah,
I may try to do one about 8 o'clock. So again, try to invite some more people. So, but yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do, man. I appreciate you joining me.
All right, no problem. Appreciate it, man.
Briefly. Yeah, no problem, little baby. I'll hit you back up later on. Promise.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, now that is Widowmaker. He's having a dip out. He's an Xbox guy. I just wanted to bring him on. We were going to talk about some Sony stuff too. But pretty much what has happened here with this Pro patch. This is if you have a UHD TV and you put Rise of the Tomb Raider in. The Pro, what it will do is it will analyze your TV. It will say, oh, you can play in these 3 or 4 different modes. And if you have the Pro and you have Rise of the Tomb Raider and you put it in 4K, it was supposed to be 4K 30, but you were going to get some frame rate drops. What they were able to do, it's been confirmed by Digital Foundry. Okay, I'm not talking out the side of my face. Is with this patch, the 1.06 patch, they have fixed the FPS on this. So since they have fixed the FPS, you are truly gaming in 4K. They're using their checkerboard technique, which literally means you are playing in a non-ultra 4K setting. Because now once we get to 4K, you have a basic setting, a basic standard setting, and you have an ultra setting. The console, the Pro, is not designed to do ultra settings. It is just designed to give you a much better picture. Again, but they were able to fix the FPS. Now you have a steady 30 FPS at 4K on Rise of the Tomb Raider. They were also able to fix, it looks like 1 or 2 more games. Looks like the, oh my goodness gracious. I had that in my head. And it's the game where you're like a part cyborg and stuff like that. I am getting Alzheimer's. I just can't remember the name of it. Or maybe I'm drinking too much bourbon. But so that's what this Pro patch was able to fix. So, but back to what I was saying earlier, the Sony people can no longer take the bait of the Xbox fanboys. if the Xbox fanboys want to run around and say the Pro's not a 4K console, when you can play NBA 2K in 4K, you can play Skyrim in 4K, you can now play Tomb Raider in 4K. Obviously, it does it. So, and I understand you want to come back and say, well, you're not telling the truth, you're spreading misinformation. Just let them do it. I was listening to Weapon Wheel this past weekend, and Weapon Wheel had an Xbox guy on there named Dealer Gamer. And every time somebody on Weapon Wheel said something about the Xbox, Dealer Gamer would say something negative about the Sony system. My point is that there was another Sony guy on there, Jack Johnny. So a shout out to Weapon Wheel and Jack Johnny, BG, all those guys. He would say something negative, but anyway, Dealer Gamer would say something negative about this Sony PlayStation. Okay. So one of the other people on the PlayStation said one of the other guys on the podcast said, Jack Moo, you're going to let him get away with that. And he immediately said, Jack Moo said, I don't give a shit what he says. And that needs to be what the PlayStation community does from now on. We don't give a shit about what the Xbox fanboys are saying. The fanboys, because what they have been reduced to now is saying that games that were shown at, say, PSX won't be out for 2 to 3 years. And stop taking that bait. The hypocrisy is that they've shown Cuphead, they showed Halo Wars, they showed ReCore. They've shown games at the Microsoft E3s that still aren't out. Now, ReCore is out, and ReCore is a fun game. It's only like, I think, $29 right now on if you get it digitally. You can get it for $29. But my point is that the hypocrisy of their community, they are to the point where they think that Spider-Man is going to go multi-plat. Spider-Man is owned by Sony. It's a Sony property. Sony bought it from Marvel. So it's not going to go multi-plat. Will it end up on PC? Maybe. But as of right now, Insomniac Games is only making that for Sony. But yet you will hear Xbox podcasts. They will say there's a good chance it'll come there. My point is that the Sony community can no longer entertain the fuckery of the Xbox fanboy community. Let them lie, okay? Instead of them talking about like Halo Wars 2 and a couple other games that are supposed to come out here in Q1 and Q2, all they're talking about is what Sony is going to have 2 to 3 years down the road. Now, I don't care what the games on the Scorpion. I don't care about the Scorpion's power. There is no game the Scorpion is going to put out that's going to look better than that Uncharted DLC that you saw. And it's not truly DLC because you don't need to have Uncharted to play the game. It's nice to know it, to have the ladies' backgrounds, give you a fuller experience, but it's not needed. There's going to be nothing that they do that's going to look better than The Last of Us. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you can have the power is not the problem with Microsoft. Their issue is they don't have a whole lot of dedicated studios on that console. So I don't know. I've said before why I think they're lying and spreading misinformation is because they don't want Microsoft to quit making consoles. Microsoft's not going to stop making consoles unless the Scorpion flops. If the Scorpion flops, they will not make any more consoles. You'll have the Scorpion, you'll have the Slim, and there's nothing wrong with these consoles. Again, the Slim is a nice console if you're a casual gamer and you want to watch movies more. Again, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a nice console for that. The Pro is for the serious gamer. You don't give a damn about watching UHD movies. You have a standalone Blu-ray player anyway, and you can just plug your movies into that and then play your games on the Pro. That's it. That's the difference in the two systems. It has nothing to do with anything. And another reason why the PlayStation community, well, let me take a swig, needs to not take the bait anymore is because Sony has sold 200 million consoles with the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're the only company that has sold 50 million of anything of this whole console thing. Nintendo didn't do that. Microsoft didn't do that. Microsoft sold, they're at 50 million with the 360 only. And I think combined with the OG Xbox and the Xbox One S they have now, or the Xbox they have out now, they're surpassed it. So they can't even do what Sony did combined. So again, I'm not here to say one side is better than the other side. I'm simply asking for the Sony community to stop taking the bait. Who gives a damn about what they say? I already know that the Pro can do 4K. I know that it does HDR. Why go to somebody else's window or pod thing, whatever you want to call it, and argue with them about it? If they want to say, well, it does it, but it's not native 4K, then you simply say, all right, well, Skyrim is a native 4K. It's been confirmed by independent studios. It's been confirmed by independent sources. So, there's no reason for you to go back and forth with them. Shout out to the 1 or 2 viewers that decided to drop in. And so is that pretty much it for this one? Yeah, Sony has sold 200 million consoles. So everybody needs to take a step back and applaud and understand the Xbox community. They don't have anything anymore. When you have been reduced to talking about what Sony may have shown you games, but nothing. But, you had somebody say, yeah, they have games, but it sucks. You all have to wait 2 to 3 years. Well, the average wait is 2 to 3 years. That's average. The only games that come out yearly is Madden, the MLB baseball game, and, of course, Forza and a Call of Duty game, stuff like that. Even Battlefield didn't come out yearly. Titanfall doesn't come out yearly. So the PlayStation community has to understand that the Xbox community has been groomed to have yearly releases, and they don't care that their games take a year and a half to 2 to 3. They're talking about the Sony console. Well, you all have games, but it's and the quote Titanfall Princess, what Sony's doing to them is just kicking them in their face. So Microsoft has retreated to the Scorpion. And when you have Xbox fanboys making videos about AMD and Zen and this and the release points, and there's going to be a high level, low level, and mid level chip, that's all they have. See, they're not talking about Halo Wars 2. They're not talking about Cuphead. They're not talking about Sea of Thieves. Why aren't they talking about that? It's because they don't even want those games. Or Scalebound. My goodness, how can you not be talking about Scalebound? Sony's main advantage is and always will be is that they make movies, and they already understand that in order for you to hype the movie, you're going to show the trailer months in advance. How long did we see Captain America Civil War? That trailer you had a tease trailer, then you had a trailer, then you had a main trailer. They did the same thing for Star Wars: The Force Awakens. They did the same thing for Rogue One. This is what Sony does. They talk about, well, Sony's games don't have a ton of gameplay. There are a lot of cinematics. Again, they're a movie company first. Their games are going to be much more cinematic. That's just the way it is, folks. That's just the way it is. But I understand. Look, I was one of those guys that wanted to go into their chats and stuff like that and argue with them and say, well, here are the facts and all that stuff. And look at their community. You have Iron Wolf, who, as a consumer, he decided to open up a PlayStation 4. The same thing that Next Gen 720 did. They don't say nothing to Next Gen 720, but they attack Iron Wolf. Why? Why didn't they go after Iron Wolf when he said the Xbox One was more powerful than 4 Titans, whatever the hell that was? See, they didn't say anything about that because he was pushing an agenda that they needed him to push. And now he's like, well, I shouldn't have said that. I said that to be funny. Anybody who took me seriously on that was an idiot. Those are Iron Wolf's words. But what happens? There's people in that community that are going after him. So that's their community, though. And don't hold every Xbox gamer to that standard. Okay, so it's unfortunate there are people like that. And you can say there's people like that in the Sony community. I only know one person in the Sony community that acts like that, and he reads from fucking coloring books. And everybody knows who I'm talking about. Anytime you block people on your Twitter. You block people from commenting on your videos. You block people when you do things like, when you do a podcast. When you're blocking people, you're just an immature idiot. But they're kids. I'm an older gamer. I remember games like Asteroids and Missile Command and actually going to the arcade and plunking quarters into these games. I remember playing King's Quest on my computer back in the day when you had like 6 floppy disks, not CD-ROMs, floppy disks to go ahead and play your games. And games like Dr. J and Larry Burgo 101 that was created by EA Games. EA's first game that they created was a PC game. Dr. J and Larry Burgo 101, that's what it's called. It was on the IBM computers. It was on the Radio Shack computers. This is why Microsoft was able to get ahead of Apple, because they had games on their PCs and Apple didn't have a whole lot of games. But back to the gaming news again. Microsoft is actually helping. It's Microsoft and Vizio, and they're making a TV that's going to compete with Samsung, and they want to make it cheaper. Now, how come the Xbox community hasn't reported that to you guys yet? That's what you got to start asking yourself. Let's start asking yourself that. So I mean, this is something that they're doing, folks. This is something that they're doing. So yeah, I just wanted to wrap it up. Not wrap it up. Let me give a shout out to a lot of people here. One, Widowmaker for coming in, Cycle Gamer, Dad Hip, JD33. My goodness gracious, thank you so much. One Stop for Gamers. Thank you, brother, for putting yourself out there. Next Gen 720. Next Gen does a really good job. I need to thank him because that's the first podcast I actually went on. He actually invited me on there. I do appreciate it. He's got other content too. Next Gen don't just talk about gaming. He does the UFO thing. I'm with him on that. I want to do a podcast with him on that. Let's see, Titanfall Princes. For just kind of waking up and backing up and just looking at things as a consumer now. When you look at things as a consumer, you avoid all the fanboy BS. You just do. You look at things as a consumer. What's good for a consumer? Yeah, like I said, One Stop for Gamers. Putting yourself out there, Bear Hugger, the whole thing with the Dream Team. I certainly hope they can squash everything. Dark Cloud for getting on and just telling the truth on his videos. PlayStation News Now for not only just telling you PlayStation News Now, but just for doing things the right way. He does it the right way. Matt's Gaming. Again, go sub to all these people. You're going to get really good content. You'll get some controversy too every once in a while, but you're always going to get the truth from these guys. And me. Thank you all for subbing to me and letting me talk to you guys about the gaming and the UFO stuff and things like that. And I don't care if people disagree with me. Just don't be. You can disagree and not be disagreeable. So. Once again, Sony has sold 200 million consoles between the PlayStation 1 and 4, so they need to be the community that doesn't take the bait from the Xbox community. I'm in the Xbox community, and I can simply instead of them talking games, like I said, Sea of Thieves, you don't hear them talking about that. Scalebound, you don't hear them talking about that. Halo Wars 2, they're not talking about that. But they are quick to tell you, oh, well, such and such 4 outsold The Last Guardian. Well, who cares? Who cares? As long as the people who bought The Last Guardian are happy with The Last Guardian, that's all that matters. So then they're quick to say, well, you all are saying that it's always about games and because Scorpio is going to be more powerful. They're saying that I don't have the ability and nobody else has the ability to go buy a Scorpion when it finally does come out. So guys, start asking yourself why they're not talking about their games. There's a reason why. I have seen more commercials for Horizon Zero Dawn, and that game doesn't come out till February, than I have for Halo Wars 2. Now, I'm going to say that again. I've seen more commercials on TV for Horizon Zero Dawn and Halo Wars 2. Ask yourself why. It is Sony that is backing one of these big football games. I think they had the Fiesta Bowl. So if you're going to watch Ohio State and Clemson, you're going to get a lot of Sony commercials. So again, that's something Sony is doing. Now, so they turn, but Sony's supposed to be broke, but they got their names on a bowl game. Go and figure. Go and figure. But again, the Tomb Raider patch, the patch 1.06 fixes FPS games on the Pro. So now if you're at 4K 30, you will have less frame rate drops. That's according to Digital Foundry. Microsoft had to pull ads about the Xbox Slim because it doesn't do 4K gaming. It upscales 1080p to 4K. Also, backwards compatibility. This is something I think that's good if you want to play old games, but you need to understand it's not going to take a game that's 720p and make it 2160p. It's not doing that. It's just going to, you're already upscaling. The TV upscales for you. It's just something else that Microsoft doesn't tell people. You the consumer, needs to understand that. The Pro will play games at 1440p, 1800p, and they can checkerboard it up to 2160p. So understand, if you are seeing something at 1800p, you're already at UHD. UHD is anything past 1080p. But once again, that's not Sony's job to tell you that. That's the consumer's job to know. And if the consumer doesn't know and they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a whole bunch of 4K games, they did not build the Pro for 4K gaming. They built it to help with the VR. There is nobody that has PlayStation VR that also married it to the Pro that is complaining because all their games are friggin' phenomenal. Also, 2 more big gaming announcements here. Elite Dangerous has been announced. It is coming to the PlayStation. I have no idea when, however. Hopefully we get an announcement here soon from Frontier Games. And also, Mass Effect Andromeda marketing went to Sony. I'm going to say that again so that it really sinks into the gaming community. Mass Effect Andromeda's marketing rights are with Sony. What the hell is going on with Microsoft? Mass Effect was born on the Xbox. Yes, it did go multi-plat. But what in the hell is going on over there? They've lost Call of Duty. I mean, okay, Call of Duty. You lose Mass Effect? Are you kidding me? So anytime you see Mass Effect being played, you see any screenshots, it's from the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation Pro, probably from the Pro. So again, folks, just go ahead and again, the Xbox Slim is $250 right now for 500 gigs, $250. So go out and grab one if you want one, but understand that that's more for you to watch movies on. And I much rather have the Samsung 8500D because it's 7.1 channel. I think the Slim is 5.1. That's just for me, though. You're going to spend that kind of cheddar. You might as well, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. If you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. As far as the console war thing, the Sony folks have got to quit taking the bait. You won. You won this generation. And let me tell you all something that a friend of mine, we went out to dinner with her. She works at Microsoft. She is from Louisville, Kentucky. Let me tell you all this because this is something that she said. I said this during my last podcast. Microsoft is not perfect. Neither is Sony, neither is Nintendo. But Sony got a lot more right this generation than we did, we being Microsoft. So because they did, they were able to, reap the benefits. Yes, Microsoft has gone back and has made improvements to their console, but when you do that in electronics, that tells the consumer that your product wasn't ready at launch. And nobody wants a product that is constantly changing. Not within the first 30 months. Not a consumer. A Game Boy doesn't care about that. A Game Boy. A fanboy doesn't care about that. So let's start asking ourselves in 2017, what do we want from our gaming companies? Okay. Do you want us YouTubers? What do you want from us? Do you want us to constantly bash each other? Or do you want us just to start giving you guys the truth on what's going on out there so that you guys have better options? You just let me know in the comment section and I'll do whatever. But I am going to start doing some more UFO shows, and I'm going to start that. I'm going to do one on Monday the 26th. So any of my subs that wants to join me for the UFO show, just hit me up. I don't care if it's on Twitter. I can give you my email address if you want that. No problem with that, because I'm going to make some changes to the channel. I am going to run to Best Buy and get a camera. But I need to get some more USB ports on my PC. So, but I'm going to get a camera. So when I do my UFO podcast, I want everybody to be able to see what I look like, because I'll be showing pictures and stuff like that. So, but this is your boy, Craig Harris. I'll be signing off here, the black man in the blue chair today. Look for me later on, hopefully, with Widowmaker. I'm going to try to get a JD33. I'm going to give a shout to Cycle Gamer too, that way. And I'm going to give a shout out to One Stop. Hopefully he's listening and he'll be able to join me later on. And I'm going to invite some more people. Bear Hugger. I'm going to try to get all these folks on for one more brouhaha. Shout out again to PlayStation News Now, Dark Cloud, all the rest of you guys on there. Love being on that show. Thanks so much for having me on there. And again, thanks you guys for subbing to the channel. So a shout out to all you guys. I am going to do a giveaway on the 28th for another t-shirt. So let me go ahead and start getting those plans ready right now. So once again, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and look for me later on tonight. Peace.